All right, ready?
No.
Stop yawning.
I can't.
Stop yawning or I'll bury you alive in a box.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristin.
This is why I'm watching Desperate Housewives, Season 1, Episode 21.
Sunday in the Park with George.
Sunday in the Park with George. That's all I remember about that show, and I don't think it actually even happens in the show. I just thought, you know how it's like you see something once and then you remember a memory of a memory?
Yeah.
Like, so that's what I think that show is. It's just the choir singing that.
Sunday in the Park with George.
Muscle high, please.
Okay, do you have a place you want to start?
I think either with Zach or Gabby.
The only thing that really was accomplished with Gabby's story is she told John.
Which
And
don't.
I don't. It's giving me the Veronica Lodge all over again, because it's like she basically goes and tells him to explain to him why he can't know.
How am I going to handle child support?
We don't even know for sure if it's yours, so relax. Hey, and I didn't come here to watch you freak out.
Well, then why did you come here?
Because I want to make sure you let me protect you.
From who?
Carlos, your parents. John, something like this can ruin your life.
Yeah.
And so
and then it's like even more important now that their affair doesn't come out. And I'm like,
and
just
I
don't
mean,
tell him anything.
You did point out that even if it was John's baby, there's a fair chance that it would go unnoticed. They're both dark, suave, kind of
striking brown men. I think it would work out.
But yeah, so John, of course, thinks he gets it in his head that he's like chivalrous or whatever, and he's gonna go, confront Carlos and raise the baby
and have it out like men, as if Carlos couldn't step on him like a bug.
Yeah, it's annoying.
And so the Gabby blinds him with hot sauce.
What are you doing? John! John!
Please, get out of the way.
What are you doing?
Get out of the way.
John! No!
Please.
She threw.
I do love that. Also, Carlos, you mentioned it. Carlos was taking a bath again, which again is just... It's a no for me. And I loved when she was like, I'm going to get fat as a tribute to your mother.
And he had to just take it, yeah.
He just also remains so smug about having done this. He has successfully pawned off the responsibility for altering the birth control pills to his dead mother.
I'm telling you, I didn't do it.
Don't insult me, Carlos. Who else would it have been?
I don't... Oh, no.
What?
Mama!
Oh, please.
Before the accident, I told her how much I wanted to have a child. And she said that she would take care of it. Baby, I am so sorry.
That bitch.
To the point where I had to check with you and be like, we saw him do
we
it,
watched
right?
him do it,
He was that convincing.
We watched him nefariously do it.
And
commit, I don't know, some kind of medical fraud, I'm sure.
Yeah, the only thing that sort of makes it stomachable is the fact that Gabby seems to be on the same page. Well, she's handling it like it's kind of no big deal. Like, she's not really buying it. But
Sure. Well, I think it's more she's accepted it. I think she's accepted that she's pregnant and she's gonna have to keep it. But she's certainly not happy about it. Also, there's just obviously another example of both Carlos and the writers' rooms not knowing how babies work, because the baby can't get heartburn. It doesn't yet have a heart.
Yeah,
and
but
that's not how anything works.
That's 100% the way that man would.
No, I understand it's awful and so stupid. Take a biology class.
So Lynette is still, she's still concerned about her marriage because of Annabelle. It largely works, but I kind of remember it feeling contrived. Then
She's going a little too far with it.
She's gonna. Go ahead.
She basically is like, we haven't had sex in 10 days, and the longest we've ever gone is 9. And first of all, congrats.
Yeah.
A very mazel.
Really though? I mean, I'm almost like, ugh. there but for the grace of God.
Sustainable in my opinion. That's like, because that implies that 9 days over the course of their entire marriage is the longest they've ever got. That can't be true because she's given birth 3 times and you have to wait 6 weeks. Maybe she means not medically.
Yeah.
But regardless, it feels unsustainable to me.
I just I definitely understand her insecurity, her fear and her insecurity. And we talked about it, more in the previous episode. But it's not that she doesn't trust him. It's that she doesn't trust in his. It's not that she thinks he's going to cheat on her or deceive her or whatever. She doesn't trust in his ability to navigate the situations
scenario. Life
puts him in.
Well, the other thing too is I totally get her one specific argument, which is that because he's just stupid because he's she mentions that they haven't had sex in 10 days and that it's an issue for her. And so he's tonight we'll do it. And so on the one hand, I am Lynette, why did you not put a clean shirt on?
What are you thinking?
I was wondering what that smell is.
Oh, it's probably baby drool.
On the one hand, that's for me that I'm come on. On the other hand,
when we're talking about human vomit, regardless of whether it's your baby or not,
for sure,
he's not out of pocket.
So on the other hand, he literally can't stop commenting on how she smells like baby vomit.
What?
Wow, that smell really soaked through, huh?
Yes. It's the nature of baby throw up. You want me to wear a hazmat suit or are you going to be okay?
And I'm Tom, breathe through your mouth and make it happen. It's so that her insecurity about Annabelle being polished and put together because she doesn't have kids and she's not running a whole house and raising an entire family, including her husband, that's a valid insecurity.
Also,
fear.
Lynette has made it personal and doubly personal at this point.
Yeah.
So any free time Annabelle has, you better believe she's putting into this.
Well, she's now running his carpool apparently. So she is picking him up for work at their house, which is so creepy and gross. And so then she's well, I'm going to go to the lingerie store, and she gets a French maid outfit, which to me, that's leaning into all of the things about herself she's insecure about, just caring for that household.
Well,
if I were her, I would have put on some of my old work clothes. My sexiest old work clothes. But
you go Blake Lively, blazer, no blouse.
Yeah, sure, blazer, no blouse for sure.
Well, but it was also latex on top of being it was a latex French maid costume.
It was a lot. I don't know. And then she just sort of ends up getting drunk
Ass
and
up.
actually cleaning the house before she ends up ass up on the couch, where Tom has then brought home a coworker, an out of town coworker, without telling Lynette that he was doing such a thing.
I really feel bad about putting you out like this, Tom.
Hey, you're not putting anybody out. You've been flying all day. Why stay in some hotel? I just hope you don't mind sleeping on the sofa.
Yeah, sofa should be fine.
Unacceptable. And the friend sees her ass down on the couch, or ass up on the couch. It's not good. It's not good. And then he keeps teasing her about it in the morning.
Oh, hey, honey, why don't you just let the maid get that?
Not funny, Tom.
I don't know. I'm mad at Tom in this episode.
I also feel more men should be dead by this point on this show.
0 men have died. No men have died. 2 women have died. 3 women have died because of Deirdre. 0 men have died. It is unacceptable. I am fine with Tom by the end of the episode because of how he makes amends in that tiny little Speedo. Adorable. So cute.
Oh my God!
You want fantasy? I give you fantasy.
But I'm still mostly on Lynette's team because he just is this is my actual issue with Tom, is that Lynette is, however kind of passive aggressively. She is fully laying out her fears and insecurities. And the fact that she even was like, our marriage is in trouble, but he doesn't even have the wherewithal to like meet her where she's at. He's just like, you're being ridiculous. Everything's fine. This just happens. And I'm like, you have to meet her where she lives or else it's not gonna, you're not gonna accomplish anything. And it's very frustrating for me.
Mm-hmm. So we also have Paul drugging Zach.
Again.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't physically doing it the first time.
And he's trying, what is he, just trying to placate him or trying to like...
I think he's going to drug him while he packs the house and then put his drugged self in the car and leave.
And just live on the lam for a little while.
Well, that's the thing is, like, I think his initial thing wouldn't cause them to be living, like, being on the lam. Mm-hmm. But, like, after Felicia gets involved and she's like, I know that you killed my sister and I have a lot of, like, circumstantial evidence that, like, could pile up into something because the police haven't been looking at you because you don't look like a suspect.
She flat out tells him that the only reason why the police aren't after you is because they don't have a reason yet.
Yeah.
If they have a reason,
then everything's going to come out and it's going to be really bad for you. And so I think her saying you're going to have to just like be on the run with your son is like, should Felicia enact this Rube Goldberg level plan.
Well, and that's what I was sort of like amping up to say is I think Felicia is such a weird character.
She's fascinating.
And such an interesting character where I remember being more put off by her the first time because she's challenging some of the cliches and some of the stereotypes. And I think it was odd to introduce a character like Martha Huber, kill her off, replace her with, at first glance, just looks like Martha Huber 2.0.
Yeah.
With like a more severe haircut.
A more off-putting version of, because she's spookier than Martha.
She's weirder.
I think she's spookier.
You think she's spooky?
It's part of it is the haircut. The haircut makes her, and the black hair, that haircut, it makes her spookier. But because Martha Huber was just kind of like a bitch busybody.
She was a busybody.
Yeah.
She was Adna, come quick. Yeah. But Felicia doesn't react appropriately to any situation she's in, which makes you think she knows something. It's very Marjorie in The Sept, where it's like, what's going on that she's not behaving the way that she should be. She
has an interesting undercurrent of warmth to her because she is always baking. And it does, like I think I said in the last episode, her energy with Zach is very like, come to my cabin made of gingerbread in the woods.
It's like a weaponized femininity or suburban
maternal.
Yeah. It's really interesting. And for a long chunk of her tenure, we don't know what to expect from her. And by this point, because she is being so maternal towards Zach, and she seems like the type of character who, it seems like she knows Zach is troubled and could handle it.
Yeah.
And so in a weird way, we're almost sort of, because Zach is as like upsetting as his behavior is, he is still a kid. And with the right influence, I feel like he could be sort of like his path can still be set straight.
Yeah.
And so it's just very strange to have these pieces and think, I'm actually rooting for Felicia.
Yeah, she's also a nurse, and she finds out kind of immediately that something is going on with Zach. So as soon as she sees Paul drive away, she breaks into their house, finds out that he is drugged to the gills, and takes him away.
I have to do this, dear. I know you'll forgive me.
And leaves a note for Paul and is like, I've got Zach. He's over here.
And we have the mystery is unraveling what feels like quickly, because there was a point during our watch along, if you want to watch along with us, blah, 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 where you were like, is this it? And I don't know how to answer that question, so I just didn't.
Okay.
But it is sort of interesting with what we know about the mystery. And I kind of keep coming. I don't know how much this will extend. I don't know how much of the show we're going to watch and how much this will extend over what we watch. But the tragedy of Mary Alice's story is hitting me a bit more this go through than it was the previous. And so there is something about knowing that there is a wrong that was done, believing that somewhere Zach, in spite of his anger, in spite of his ability, because men by their very nature can be threatening, we have a sense that he is a victim in this.
Oh, yeah.
And
like multiple ways over, too, because if he is actually Dana, then he was stolen from his birth mother, who then promptly died. So he would have gone in the system, obviously. But it's like he was stolen from his mother, taken away, raised until now, when someone found out, Martha, and started blackmailing
Mary
Alice, his mother,
which is hideous in its own.
Then his mother killed herself, and his father immediately started acting totally insane. He fell in love with the girl across the street. Now she wants nothing to do with him. But there's very trauma on Zach.
And to see the women who have attempted to help him or who have been involved in this, like the mother figures that have come into play, it's very strange to suddenly be rooting for Felicia and to see that it's like, okay, well, we have, because she's so weird, we have reason to believe she can handle him.
Yeah.
and so
she's also likely to tell him at least some of the truth. Yeah.
And so it's just a strange place in a good way, like an exciting place, but a strange place to find yourself as an audience member at this point in the show to be like, oh, well, do this.
Yeah.
Go that way.
Yeah.
And so I like that. And I do like, I mean, it's a show called Desperate Housewives, so I like that we do get a mix of different types of women.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Bree's back seeing George.
Oh, George, you have got to taste this.
Ooh. Oh, is that fennel seed? It's fantastic.
I don't know, but anything that good has got to be sinful.
Yeah.
It's all very weird.
Well, Edie sees her at the restaurant feeding. First of all, don't feed other people. She's obviously also having an emotional affair, which I'm sure is a term that Bree has never heard of in her life.
Well, Edie explains it to her.
She does. She's like,
I'm glad we cleared this up. I didn't want you to think that I was cheating on my husband.
But you sort of are.
Excuse me?
Oh, come on, Bree. You're telling this guy your innermost thoughts? And sex aside, sounds like you're pretty intimate with a guy that's not your husband.
Oh, I mean, everybody needs someone to talk to.
Just because you're not sleeping together doesn't mean you're not having an affair. And she's like, why don't you talk to Rex? And we all three in unison were like, I'd rather kill myself than talk to Rex. And but then she does try to talk to Rex at the end. And he is disgusting. Again, he's been okay the last few episodes. And how he handled Andrew coming out, I was like mostly fine with.
But that was him being there for Andrew.
Not his wife, yeah.
Not Bree. And I think it was astute for you to comment that because Bree is mentioning a trip they took to Italy and how, for her, it's one of her reasons for living.
Remember our trip to Italy?
Sort of.
Sort of? You don't remember the glorious food and the gorgeous scenery and...
What I remember is sweating like a pig and wishing we hadn't spent all our savings.
And it was like one of her favorite memories ever. It was such a fun time they had before they had their kids. And
for him, it was a waste of money. And so the way that he handles that situation and how obvious, like, it's one thing to feel that way. It's another thing to think you can act that way and not have a reaction.
Yeah.
And it was very anything but strawberry wine, which...
It's unacceptable.
But I like it because you are right that we have been seeing him step up. So I think that the show needed to remind us that...
slap him right back
Yeah,
in.
At the end of the day, he's not in this marriage.
No, that's the thing. That's the thing that's crazy to me is like, I don't understand. There's so many men are just like, I just want to know how you get married and then stay married to somebody that you don't have anything in common with. They don't have anything in common, which is why she's sneaking around behind his back to hang out with George.
Well, and especially because, again, even though we as the audience, even though he was morally, correct to support Andrew in the way that he did, and Bree wasn't in the way that she did, the mere fact that that what we know about them, what little we know about them, or what we do know about them, that they don't share that in common.
Yeah, how to raise your kids.
So it's like he's not even. It's that thing that we talk about where it's like, I don't know how to say this without being like your grandparents.
My grandparents?
When you know someone who's conservative and you're like, oh, are they religious? And you're like, no. They've just chosen to, and it's like,
decided,
so the only way I could make sense of that is not a factor.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, so you don't even have convictions in in this lifestyle that you've chosen.
Yeah. You just like hard decided for mean reasons.
Just to be, because, and I don't know, so on one hand, it's better because it's like, oh, well, I mean, you're not that, your morals aren't that warped.
But no, I get it.
In this day and age, I'm going to say it. I'm sorry.
But also, you're right. It's like your morals aren't totally in the garbage, but also you don't respect your wife and you don't like her as a person. So, like, what is the point of staying in this still?
Well, and also, it's like, so presumably when you're voting against gay marriage just cause.
Yeah.
Like, cause, you know what I mean? Like, it's not something about your values. It's not something.
Well,
like,
to my knowledge, what's happening is they're not voting against gay marriage, but they're voting for the person who's against gay marriage because of all the other things they stand for.
Yeah.
Is like, I feel like how they try to justify it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It just, I think it's illuminating that it's like, because Bree can back up her worldview.
Sure.
And Rex is just a vessel.
I can't. And just the way he's so absentmindedly filling in that crossword puzzle while she's like, we should take a trip once your health is cleared, because she's also still worrying about him because he still's not getting medication. He is not ingesting heart medication. And I kind of find that hysterical.
I have to be honest, it is important.
I know it's important.
It is. That's not one of the things that you can just like, whoops.
Yeah. So he's like not taking that medication after his heart event, his heart attack. And so they're like going to another doctor, even though Bree is worried because they like socialize with their current doctor. And she's still concerned for him because she's like, we should take another trip after you're well. And I'm just like, she's fully back in this marriage in a way that you're right.
Investing.
He's definitely not. And George tries to be like, we should go to Italy. And she's like, George.
And
but then she keeps feeding him food.
Somehow Sophie is still in the picture. Although she is Morty came back and they are getting married, which they weren't married before. So
Correct,
this will be her fifth wedding, her fourth husband.
Yeah.
And she's elated and we sort of see them off, but she did confess that she went to Mike's and spilled the beans about how Susan feels about him, all that.
Yeah. Okay. If she had gone to Mike and been like, you hurt my daughter, you need to like do something to make it right. But no, she went over to Mike and told him how in love with him Susan was. Unacceptable. I swear to God. We didn't mention in the last episode that Susan had gone to the private investigator that the Youngs were using previously, basically to find out stuff about Paul.
Just because Paul threatened her for the umpteenth time, and then there was the whole kitchen explosion.
Yeah, and Paul is pretty convinced that Zach did it as well. We still don't have confirmation. It's still inference, but...
Well, because he said something about, like, after that stunt you pulled in the Myers kitchen. And I was like, oh, God, so he did blow up the kitchen. But then I remember that they could have just been referring to that, like,
the pushing
rolling cart that he put.
Yeah. Regardless, so then that PI has a meeting with Paul immediately to be like, what do you want me to do, man? And he's like...
Yes, you'll never believe what just happened.
Yeah.
And so basically he runs by Paul where he's like, Susan wants me to investigate you. What do you want me to do about it? So Paul's like, just confirm what I told her.
Yeah.
And
the thing is that it's like almost word for word, which is like never great.
It was all true. Everything he said. How could I have been so wrong?
They didn't leave one question mark.
Come on.
And the thing is, because it's like I keep finding myself in this position where I'm quasi defending Susan because
I'm not totally against her in this episode. I think she's trying to do her due diligence to protect herself and see if she can open herself back up to like being with Mike again. I totally understand that.
But it's like, but they are gaslighting her. There is a problem. She picks up on it, and they are bending over backwards to explain to her that she's not picking up on what she's picking up on.
Yeah.
And it makes me root for her because certain people, I think, are more susceptible to gaslighting than others, and I think Susan is. Susan could lose her mind.
Yeah.
And also, because she is behaving insanely about this Mike situation. Yeah. And I'm going to defend her a little bit because I get the sense that this is the first time she's ever put her foot down with a situation.
Okay.
I get the sense that in every other situation, she's folded and dated the guy that she knew was wrong for her or whatever.
I'll give you that. The thing that actually like fucked me up the worst, because she gets the PI after she's like done with the Paul stuff. She gets the PI to also look up Mike. And then probably my favorite thing she's ever done in a bad parenting way happens, which is she makes Julie look at the file.
Now open it up. Okay. You ready? Go.
Which, like, Julie is a 14, and you want her to look at the private investigator's file of a man you know has killed someone and was a drug dealer? Unbelievable.
We age up Julie. Well, I think it's actually pretty organically.
On the way.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Julie does a good news, bad news thing, and she's like, bad news first, and Julie just goes,
the guy Mike killed was a cop.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And she goes, what's the good news? And she goes, there isn't any.
You told me to spin it. I did the best I could.
Oh, forget it. Just let me look at it myself.
I love Julie. So anyway, it leads her to go try to find Kendra. And she's like at the Independence Inn, and trying to speak to her in where I haven't even got to the point that's my like the part where that fucked me up the most. She gets into this altercation with a security guard named Bob.
Please, back in the car.
Look, Bob, let me try to explain.
In the car.
Bitch!
She tries to emotionally connect with him. She would have had an easier time with a TSA agent than she would have with Bob, like convincing Bob of her.
Get back in your car. 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 And she's like, I know you have a heart.
Just get in the damn car.
It's not my fault you don't have love in your life.
So finally she gets up there and she talks to Noah and Kendra,
who do not have their story straight.
I just can't help thinking there's more to the story. Does it sound stupid?
No, of course not.
Unfortunately, you've got the whole story right here.
But Noah
Kendra is very visually breaking ranks with.
And he doesn't even have the nerve to threaten her to like not follow after Susan. So basically after he gives the same thing, I mean, I know he's heartbroken, he just found out his daughter's dead or whatever. Though apparently she hated both of them, according to Kendra. Mm-hmm. She hated Noah and Mike. So regardless, Susan leaves and Kendra follows after her and tells her the story, which I still am not 100% sure if it's true or not. He was apparently trying to protect Deirdre because she was doing black tar heroin and a cop found out. And so he was trying to get the cop away from her.
Well, because the cop was going to rape her.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
I did drift a little during that story.
The cop was extorting.
I'll let you off. If
it was
okay. Blackmail.
Yeah, so it was a dirty cop.
Okay, yeah. Well, I've been saying it was a dirty
There has
cop.
been, the amount of love lost has been so minuscule. As if to be none.
So anyway, Mike then tackled him off a balcony and only Mike walked away, which love that for everybody.
I kind of can't believe we didn't see a dreamy flashback and
a grainy reenactment. And so the thing that fucked me up is that this whole time Susan has been rigid in her denial of Mike and her feelings for Mike and giving him even 1 ounce of getting back in there, even as friends. The minute Kendra stops talking, who by the way is not fully trustworthy either, she's like, I knew he couldn't be bad. I just knew it.
But also, on top of you get the sense that this is the first time Susan has ever tried to be proactive.
That helps me a lot, actually.
I also think she's a self-saboteur.
Okay.
So the fact that, like, I think there is a small part of her that gets off on the fact that she gets to still play the victim.
Sure. Okay.
But I don't know. She is so annoying, but I am a Susan apologist. I have a slight soft spot for her.
I have a soft
She's
spot
an
for her.
artist. I mean, she illustrates children's books. Like,
yeah.
That woman is.
She's up here. She's all running.
She's on a level. I'll tell you that much. So
yeah, Paul is leaving.
Seemingly.
Yeah, Rex is getting checked out by another doctor. Lynette and Tom are having sex, and Susan runs across the street and fully accosts Mike on the front porch. He seems down, so it's fine.
By this point, he knows what he's involved with.
Yeah.
So,
and then I mean, the Gabby and John thing. He was like banging on the door, like. And he's called her Mrs. Solis again. I don't know what to do.
So, okay. Well, we're going to watch the next one.
Bye.